Ukraine War Awareness here, providing another quickie news, and guys, this is big. Another assassination attempt on a significant official was conducted, and this time it was successful. Arsen Pavlov, better known as Motorola, was killed in a bomb blast in the elevator of his apartment complex in Donetsk at night when he was coming home last night. Motorola was the commander of the symbolic Sparta Battalion of Donetsk, which is considered as the, quote, special forces or Spetsnaz of the Donetsk People's Republic Army, has high symbolism for his and his battalion's success during the Battle of Ilovaisk in 2014 and both battles of Donetsk Airport, which ended in victory for the DPR in late January of 2015. Obviously, it's unknown who is responsible for the bomb blast, with naturally the DPR blaming Ukraine and Ukraine blaming Russia scenario. As an example, mainstream medias are already starting to create false analyses, such as Newsweek here saying that Jane's analyst, with Jane's being for me personally a trusted source and I believe is for many, claiming that Ukraine does not have guerrilla capabilities to launch such attacks and that all suspicion is pointed at Russia. However, after going to the actual Jane's website itself, there is no such article or analysis listed anywhere on their official website. Even if you type in Motorola in the search bar here, you get the latest article of the death situation, but not a culprit analysis as stated on Newsweek. This assassination comes shortly after a new ceasefire has been signed on September 15, 2016, to pull both forces further back from the gray zones, such as in the Petrovsky district in Donetsk, where the Donetsk forces under OSCE observation pulled back their forces, but then halted the withdrawal due to the Ukrainian army allegedly not retreating their forces and committing to their part of the deal. This assassination also comes just as 2.5 months after the assassination attempt on the president of the Lugansk People's Republic, LPR, Igor Plotnitsky, wherein his SUV was blown up by a bomb placed, hospitalizing the head of state and killing his bodyguards and a bystander. My original analysis on when that situation happened, which was August 6th of this year, is linked in the description for those who want to see the footage of the wrecked SUV and my analysis. Since 2014, there have been many assassination attempts executed, with some being successful. Most notably the assassination of Alexei Mozgovoi, who was the commander of the LPR's Ghost Brigade, and also a symbolic figure for the people of Russia. Commander Givi of Somali Battalion has survived 2 assassination attempts on his car being shot by small arms fire, and the DPR president, the commander-in-chief, Alexander Zakharchenko, also survived 2 assassination attempts on his SUV. And lesser figures were also assassinated with bomb blasts also on their vehicles, with a total number of attempts, including successful executions of assassinations, numbering in a little over a dozen. Their interviews with English subtitles translated by other channels will be linked in the description, and I highly suggest checking them out. This comes amid the ceasefire that keeps on frailing, and as usual, like with every other assassination attempt where the Separatists blame Ukraine and Ukraine blames Russia, but I personally cannot agree with Newsweek's false analysis statement of Ukraine not having the capability of performing such tasks, because remember, not only did they inherit a lot of the Soviets and KGB's tactics from conflicts such as the Soviet-Afghan War, but this situation shouldn't even be labeled as guerrilla warfare, but instead sending an agent to pose as somebody else in a zone of Donbass that has not only military problems but domestic problems as well, that the problems that they have to solve practically all on their own. It would not be difficult to conduct first-hand espionage on them through agents, as well as have those agents sabotage vehicles and infrastructure by placing miniature explosives. It wouldn't be that difficult. Remember, Russia is not Russia. and does not have security like Russia does. They don't have technology like Russia, and thus they don't have a digital framework of their cities for defensive purposes, or even having much of security cameras on the streets, not to mention their lack of identification capabilities, where in one instance, and this is a true story, a European volunteer joined Azov Battalion back in 2014, and they recalled this story, laughing about it, when the European volunteer who could not speak Russian accidentally stepped into a separatist barracks full of separatists and blended with them for an entire day without saying a word to anybody until he had the chance to escape without being seen to retreat back into government-held territory and tell the tale. It's with those type of stories, and with the bigger picture of course, that the militia's lack of capabilities, that I don't see why mainstream medias are labeling this as guerrilla warfare already and claiming Ukraine not having such capabilities when Ukraine claims that they have one of the strongest armies in Europe after their modernization efforts since 2014. So with that said, I see no reason why Russia would want to take out the structure of the militia by eliminating the heads of states and highly respected commanders, which, remember, in their controlled territories and separatist-held territories, they are highly looked up by the people and average citizens, hence their symbolism. I do not see the separatists being in any position to launch any offensives on Ukraine. On the contrary, since Minsk II ceasefire of February 2015, the militias have lost 8.5 villages to the Ukrainian side, while making absolutely zero gains of their own. Zero. With the latest territorial ownership change being the half of Zaitsevo village, and prior to that, the ownership of Shirokino village and most of Kominternovo, And the FSB is not that stupid to take away people that they can easily use as assets for winning the hearts and minds of the people that look up to them, instead now having to be replaced by unknown names, which will most likely be the one rank under as it was with the Ghost Brigade assassination back in 2014. And with that said, with this assassination as well as other assassination attempts, write a comment down below on if so and why you think it would be more beneficial for Russia to remove these highly loyal and symbolic people to the Novo-Russian cause per se, and not be beneficial for Ukraine, or vice versa. Let me know in the comment section down below. To end this video, it will most likely never be revealed who the true and exact culprit of this assassination is. Motorola had a wife and 2 children, with one of them recently being born, the other being under the age of 5, I believe, and how in the mainstream media, as always, what I see is quick jumps to conclusions before an investigation is even started or any evidence is gathered and far from presented. Just like in October 2015, when Motorola was seen firing his rifle at a shooting range and he was wearing a Syrian army pro-Assad forces patch on his uniform, and the medias were quick to make up stories that this rebel warlord, quote, is operating in Syria on Russia's behalf. Claims that were quickly refuted and debunked by the Novo-Russian media. Not even the Russian media, but the Novo-Russian media. Hence, with that mentioned, is what I see now with articles such as these from Newsweek making up fake analyses, reports from reliable sources that made no such statements. So everybody, thanks for watching, and this channel will be providing new translated content soon that I have prepared for all of you, that I think all of you will really enjoy. It's just becoming harder to get primary sources due to conflict technically being in a frozen state, and the usual daily reports of 3 Ukrainian soldiers killed here and 5 separatists killed there. I can't really work with that. So everybody, stay tuned. Hit that like button to support future analyses and quickie news from Ukraine War Awareness, and stay tuned for new translations and interviews soon to be uploaded right around the corner. As a breaking news that I wanted to add, but don't want to make a new video out of it, in an interview shortly before Motorola died, he claimed that the Ukrainian SBU, which is the Ukrainian FSB per se, the security service, had a $2 million bounty on Motorola and wanted him apprehended was trying really difficult to apprehend Motorola. He was claiming that himself in front of cameras, in an interview. So he had a feeling that the SBU was after him, him particularly. He was being targeted by them. That's just the latest that I'm bringing with the latest information. If Ukraine War Awareness gathers any more information, a new video will be made about the Motorola's assassination situation.